Welcome! Today, we're diving into a really fascinating story from the Shreemad Bhagavatam, and it's a story that hits us with a pretty profound paradox right from the start. Just think about that for a second. Can you reach the absolute peak of success? Celebrated by everyone, having done more than anyone in history, and still find this deep, unshakable void inside? Well, that's the mystery we're getting into today.
And this isn't just some hypothetical question. This is the real story of someone of immense stature who faced this exact crisis. So let's meet the hero of our story.
Now, we're not talking about just any successful person here. Maharshi Ved Vyasa, or Vyasadeva, is a literary and spiritual giant. In the Vedic tradition, he's actually seen as an incarnation of the divine, sent to put all this sacred knowledge together for humanity. His status is, quite literally, legendary.
So, to really get why his feeling of emptiness is so shocking, you have to understand what he had actually done. His resume is, and I'm not exaggerating, completely unparalleled.
Get this. He took the huge single body of knowledge called the Veda and organized it into 4 separate parts, just to make it easier for people to understand. He wrote the Mahabharata, one of the longest poems in the world, specifically for everyone in society. He also composed the Puranas, the Upanishads. His contribution was just monumental. It shaped spiritual thought for thousands of years.
And yet, here we are. This is the core of the paradox. After all of that, after dedicating his entire life to the good of the world, he felt this deep, gnawing dissatisfaction, this feeling of being incomplete. So how could that possibly be?
Right? It just begs the question, what was missing? If all that knowledge and all that good work wasn't enough, what was the secret ingredient he didn't have? Well, it turns out the answer is in what his amazing works didn't fully focus on.
You see, in his writings, Vyasadeva had masterfully laid out the roadmap for a complete life, what are known as the 4 Purusharthas. He explained how to live ethically, how to achieve prosperity, how to fulfill desires, and even how to attain liberation from the cycle of life and death. On paper, he had covered absolutely everything.
But the problem, the thing he felt deep in his soul, was really about emphasis. He'd covered all these important topics, but the theme of pure, loving devotion, what's called Prem Bhakti, was always treated as kind of a secondary thing. It was a nice side effect maybe, but not the ultimate goal itself.
And this points to something really deep. The text argues that knowledge without devotion can just inflate your ego. It makes you proud of what you know. And in the same way, action without devotion just creates more attachments, tying you to the fruits of your labor. By themselves, they're incomplete, and they could even be counterproductive.
This whole idea completely redefines the purpose of literature, or really any creation. It suggests a totally different way to measure what makes something truly great, and it's probably not what you're thinking.
The real value of a piece of work isn't about its popularity or how smart it is or the awards it might win. According to this text, the highest purpose of any literature, any art, any knowledge is to awaken that sense of devotion in the heart of the person experiencing it. If it doesn't do that, it can't bring ultimate satisfaction.
So it's at this exact moment of deep thought, as Vyasadeva is wrestling with this profound emptiness, that his spiritual guide appears on the scene. The great sage Narada Muni arrives and just gives him this crystal-clear diagnosis. He basically tells him, look, you've done so much. You've described righteousness, duty, even God, but you haven't really glorified the pure, loving pastimes of the divine. You haven't made selfless devotion the central beating heart of your work. And that one piece of advice, that was everything. It was the spark that ignited Vyasadeva's final and greatest work, the Shreemad Bhagavatam, a text that he wrote for the sole purpose of describing the glories and the love of the divine, to fill that exact gap he felt in his own heart. So what is the ultimate message here? What's the takeaway from this incredible journey, from massive accomplishment to emptiness, and then finally to true inspiration?
Well, it suggests that the complete fulfillment we're all looking for isn't just found in acquiring knowledge, or in performing good deeds, or even in achieving the very lofty goal of spiritual liberation,
but in the simple, powerful, and life-changing experience of love and devotion for something greater than ourselves. That, this story tells us, is the missing piece that makes everything else feel whole. It's the ingredient that finally brings peace to the heart. So the story of Vyasadeva kind of leaves us with a question for our own lives, right? It prompts us to look at what we do and ask, what's the ultimate purpose behind my work, my learning, my actions? To whom or to what are they truly dedicated? That's a question worth thinking about. Thanks for joining this explainer.